Welcome to Thread Tales, a place where I read your stories and comment on them.
AITA for not wanting to follow my SIL's rules for her wedding and saying her insecurities aren't my fault. My F27 brother, M34, and his fiancée, F31, are getting married soon. My husband and I got our invitation. All fine. However, this is the problem I am having with them. I'm not a bridesmaid / in the bridal party because I have a baby, and as she's very young, 4 months now, and I was either pregnant / with a newborn during most of the wedding planning, it was for the best. So I'm just a regular guest as everyone else, right? Well, my brother and his fiancée came over a few days after they sent the invitations because they wanted to talk to me. My FSIL basically told me she has gotten a dress for me, and she'll love for me to wear it for their wedding. I was kind of like, okay, thanks. But why? You know? At first, she didn't want to tell me why they've chosen a dress for me, but finally she told me that I tend to draw too much attention to me. Last year, our other brother got married, and my FSIL thinks that she doesn't want to risk having me show up similarly to their wedding. BTW, I wasn't wearing an inappropriate dress or white, anything like that. I was wearing a normal, formal dress. I was very confused by this, and I asked what she meant, because as I said, I know how to dress up for a wedding. I reassured her she shouldn't worry about being outshined, because for starters, it's her wedding day, and everyone will be paying attention to the bride and groom. And secondly, I won't wear an inappropriate dress with like too much cleavage or something. Her family is rather conservative, so I thought maybe she was more scared of her family's reactions. We discussed this for a while, and she told me that the problem is my weight. She's a little overweight, and I'm not. Always had problems gaining weight, even while pregnant, so she feels insecure, and that's why she wants me to wear a dress that would cover me completely. This is where I think I might be the asshole. I told her that her insecurities were not my problem, and that it was weird to ask me to wear a certain dress just because I'm skinnier than her. She told me that she knew I'd have this reaction because supposedly I always want to be the focus of attention. She also said that my life has always been easier, and it's not fair that I want to steal her wedding day as well. I asked her if she was doing this with every other woman who is skinnier attending the wedding, and she said no, so I told her that's a shitty move. We argued, and then my husband and brother got in between us too, so they argued as well, and finally we kicked them out, but not before I told them to enjoy their damn day, because I wasn't attending the wedding, for which they accused me of being a drama queen and wanting to embarrass them by not going. Well, I'm more calm this, and this has caused quite a fight in our family as well. I admit that I was so tired and stressed that day because my baby had been sick all the prior day / night. So, I don't know, do you think I exaggerated here? Or were they truly rude to ask me something like this?
I'm going to go straight to saying, OP, you aren't the asshole, especially after seeing the dress. The dress on the screen is not the actual dress, but OP posted it as a similar dress to the one she wore. So there is no reason for the sister-in-law to behave like that. And like OP said her, insecurities are not OP's problem. I absolutely agree with her decision. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 assholes. I'm giving your sister-in-law and brother 2 out of 5 assholes.
AITA for mistaking someone else for the bride and making the actual bride cry? A few days ago, I went with my boyfriend to one of his late cousin's wedding. I never met his cousin or the bride since my boyfriend sees them like 1 or 2 times a year. We have been together for almost 3 years, so he thought it would be a good time to introduce me to them. My boyfriend told me he wanted to introduce them to me before the actual ceremony started, so we were going to meet them. But my boyfriend got a call, so he told me to wait a moment and got a little far, so he wouldn't have been interrupted. 2 minutes after that, I saw a woman with a beautiful wedding dress. I said hello, and then I congratulated her for the wedding, and this is when things went wrong. The woman I was talking to wasn't the bride. The bride heard what I said. She was in a room near us, but I didn't notice because everything was silent. The bridesmaid or her mother weren't with her. I guess she just wanted time alone before the ceremony started, and got upset and started crying. When my boyfriend approached us, I explained to him the situation, so he called the bridesmaid and the mom to calm her. My boyfriend and his family reassured me, saying it wasn't my fault, but the bride, her mom, and the groom are upset with me and are saying it's all my fault. I never saw her face, so when I saw a woman in a wedding dress, I immediately thought she was the bride. I still feel bad, so a friend suggested me to post in this Reddit to have some outside opinions. AITA?
Okay, before I give my verdict, I need to clear some things up. I did try my best to correct some of the post, so it makes more sense, without changing anything. And also, when OP says late cousin, she means distant cousin. Now, OP, you aren't the asshole. In fact, I don't think there are any assholes in this story. Maybe the bride is being a bit oversensitive and her mother and husband are coddling her, but I wouldn't give her an asshole score.
AITA for demanding my house guest pay me for what she drank. I-29F was asked by a friend 27F that I went to university with if she could stay a few days at my place on her vacation. She came a couple days ago and also brought her sister 31F, which was fine with me. Her sister declined going out for dinner with us and wanted to stay in. That was fine, and we left and we went to eat. Well, turns out her sister is a recovering alcoholic and wasn't coping that well being in a different place. We come home a few hours later, and I found out she got drunk and raided my liquor cabinet for what she could find. She ended up drinking my very expensive gin, $300 USD, that was given to me by my dad. It's not something I ever would have offered guests. When she woke up the next morning, I told her that she needed to pay me for it. I didn't even open it. She started freaking out, saying it was a mistake and that she couldn't afford the rest of her trip if that's what it really costs. I told her that she technically stole it from me and that she needed to pay me for it. My friend from uni says that her sister is struggling in recovery, but they really can't afford to compensate me without it ruining their trip. I asked them to leave, and they were both very upset about it. While I do understand that it was a moment of weakness, I still think she needs to pay me for it. If she broke it by accident, that would be a different story. AITA for wanting her to give me the money for it.
Not the asshole OP if you steal someone's property. It is your responsibility to replace it. If it ruins their trip, that isn't on you, it's on them, and your friend shouldn't be putting it on you. You get 0 out of 5 assholes. Your friend and her sister both get 2 out of 5 assholes.
AITA for refusing to let my sister apologize to my fiancé so she can be in our wedding. I, 27M, have 5 siblings, and one of my sisters, Ava, 26F, has been awful to my fiancé Reese, 27F, since they met. The biggest thing is transphobia. And Reese isn't even trans. But Ava made up her mind when they met that she was. She has made some really awful comments about Reese being a dude, about Reese needing more hormones to make her sound more feminine because she does an awful job of it, and just other awful comments like that. Ava makes most of these comments made on the fact my fiancé has a traditionally male name, even if the spelling is more popular for girls, and her voice isn't as gentle and soft as Ava thinks it should be. We ended up cutting Ava out because of this. I told her, stop. I set boundaries and Ava refused to respect them. Now that we're engaged, the issue has come up that all my other siblings are in the wedding, and Ava is now upset she's being left out. My parents told her to try and apologize, so she reached out to ask if we'd let her be in the wedding if she apologizes. She said she wants to go back to normal. I told her I wouldn't believe her apology after all this time and would see it as her having FOMO, fear of missing out. She told me it's not fair and it's been over 2 years. I told her she had 2 years to try and make amends. My parents think I'm being too hard on Ava and should let her apologize and find a way to move on. They said Reese can surely say what kind of apology she would need to be able to move on from this. Reese told me she's glad I took the stand because she didn't want to be the bad guy within the family, but she's also not over the way Ava spoke to her and the things Ava would say about her. Reese's brother is trans, so we're also aware that if Ava would speak that way to her when Reese isn't trans, what would she say to my future BIL? Ava is pissed I won't give her a chance, and my parents are siding more with her than I would like. They say I should be willing to try. AITA.
OP, it's clear your sister is only prepared to apologize because she was told by your parents you'll let her in the wedding if she does, and she will go right back to being herself When she gets that, she may even make comments in the wedding. Also good on you for discussing the matter with your fiancé. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 assholes. I'm giving your sister 3 out of 5 assholes. And I'm giving your parents 1 out of 5 assholes for putting her up to it.
AITA for banning visits with my son's bio-grandparents after they ambushed him with his birth mother. I will try to keep the backstory basic. My brother was married to a woman called Kathy. They were both addicts who entered recovery when they had a son, Freddie. When Freddie was 5, my brother passed away. Kathy relapsed. My husband and I got custody of Freddie when he was 6 and later adopted him. He is now 12. We have tried to keep a relationship between Freddie and his maternal grandparents, Pam and Joe, and Freddie goes to see them once a month to spend the day and sometimes an overnight with them. Pam and Joe have brought up that Kathy has been clean for over a year and they'd like to reintroduce her to Freddie's life. We've said no to this because Freddie was in therapy and his therapist has shared that he has some extremely negative feelings towards Kathy. We've never shared this with Pam and Joe because it's not their business. We've just said no, the time isn't right. Last weekend, we dropped Freddie off, intending he would spend the day there, and we took our daughter to nearby riding school. After about an hour, we get a call from Freddie saying we need to pick him up because Kathy is there. We rush over to the house to find him, Joe and Pam outside arguing. It devolves into chaos, with Joe and Pam trying to convince Freddie to come inside while berating me. Then Kathy came outside and the arguing got worse. Eventually, Freddie started shouting at Kathy and she started sobbing, and we took that opportunity to leave. Joe and Pam called and texted, but I ignored them for a couple of days while we calmed down. When we called, we told them we will no longer be allowing Freddie to visit them. They betrayed our trust, and his, and the things they said about us and to us were heinous. We said we are done with them for the foreseeable future. They pleaded with us, but we held firm. We've blocked them from Freddie's phone, but we're keeping the line open with us because we want to collect evidence of their harassment just in case. Kathy has reached out begging for contact with Freddie, and we have ignored that as well. Family advice is split. Some say we've done the right thing, some say we should allow supervised contact. Freddie has said he would see them again, but not Kathy, but we just don't feel we can guarantee that. We've never got along well with Pam and Joe, and I don't know if that is clouding our judgment, and I know that this is the only link he has to Kathy's side of the family. But on the other hand, Freddie was in tears for hours and having nightmares after seeing Kathy. AITA for thinking enough is enough.
OP, the grandparents do not respect your boundaries. You told them it isn't the right time for your son, and he is your son. You adopted him because his dad is dead, and his mother wasn't around, so you told them your son isn't ready to meet his biological mother, and they didn't listen. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 assholes, and giving your son's biological mother and her parents 3 out of 5 assholes. That was Thread Tales. Come back if you want to hear more Am I the Asshole content.